Welcome to Fool's Key Tarot. I'm Ben, and this is a daily reading for Friday, June 27th, 2025. Let's see what the cards have in store for us. First, I'm going to draw a card for the past, then for the present, and then for the future. So first for the past, we have the Four of Wands. Next for the present, the Sun reversed. That's Major Arcana number 19. And in the future, we have the Lovers. That's Major Arcana number 6. So two Major Arcana cards today. But beginning in the past, we have a Wands card, the Four of Wands. So it looks like the seed in the past for today's reading is some joyful event or celebration. This could be a wedding. It could be any kind of milestone that is being celebrated. It could have been your milestone or your wedding or your celebration, or it could be somebody else's that you attended. But there's definitely a sense of people coming together and acting a little bit differently than they normally do. The way that at a wedding, for example, people might let loose a little bit and be more open and joyful than in their normal lives. So this is not just some ordinary gathering of people. This is a moment that people come together to celebrate something specific, but not necessarily something highly consequential like a wedding. It could be a much smaller event in terms of what the milestone or what the occasion is, but people definitely show up with their hearts open and their minds open, ready to connect and to celebrate and to get outside their comfort zone a little bit. So there was a time when you celebrated with others and shared honesty and joy in a way that was less restricted or restrained than usual. So this was probably a happy time, but it could have been bittersweet if it marked the end of a certain era or period. That may have been the milestone. Or maybe even it was somebody else's accomplishment and you were somewhat jealous. And so while this was an overall positive event, there may have been undertones of something more negative or just a little bit sad to go in with the happy. So coming into the present, we have the Sun reversed. So this suggests a lack of energy, a lack of vitality, perhaps even illness or depression. And so it looks like after this milestone was achieved and celebrated, progress did not continue the way that it was hoped. Instead, things slowed down. So if this was your celebration, then you were probably looking towards the next chapter with excitement and expectations. And now in the present, those expectations haven't been met. If this milestone was just one step along a greater journey, the reason you were celebrating is because things were going well. And I think that since that point in time, things have not gone as well. Now, another possibility is this was somebody else's celebration or milestone, and you were merely a participant in the celebrations. And in that case, I think that the occasion caused you somewhat to feel less inspired or motivated. Maybe seeing other people succeed and achieving things made you feel inadequate by comparison. And so now you feel less inspired to move forward in your own life because you feel like you're behind other people. So whatever the cause is, I think this celebration or event has somewhat taken from you either inspiration or motivation or just energy. And so even though it was a fun and energizing event at the time, the effects of that have been a little bit more negative in terms of sapping your energy. A very kind of literal interpretation here could almost just be the hangover after a celebration that went a little too excessively, because the Sun reversed suggests bad health and a lack of energy. And of course, if we're at a party and people are celebrating a little bit more than usual, there might be drinking involved or other indulgences. And so one possibility here is simply that you celebrated a little bit too much and now you're feeling the after effects of that. But in addition to the physical, literal level that might be true, there's probably some more deeper emotional layer that's also true. And maybe the physical aspect is simply mirroring that. Now, looking forward into the future, with the Lovers, it looks like we have some kind of connection that is going to occur. So it seems like this can be the thing that brings you out of this current period of the stasis or things slowing down. You might need a partner who will be the one to help you get out of this current slump. So it may be that in order to achieve the next milestone along this journey, that maybe you could get as far as you got alone, but now for the future, you're going to need somebody else to join the project. And that might be why you're stalling out in the present, because you don't yet have that collaborator who is going to be required for the next step. And so maybe you're searching for that person right now. Maybe you don't realize that you need a second person. And so that is going to be what's causing your current state of inactivity or a lack of progress. Another possibility is that there is simply a difficult choice that is coming up. And until you make that choice, you're unable to make progress. And so if you are currently feeling like nothing is moving forward, I think there might be a hard choice that you maybe don't want to make or haven't even realized that you need to make yet. And until you make that choice, it's going to be impossible to keep with that forward progress. So maybe the first couple steps of your project or your endeavor were relatively straightforward. And those are what you've already celebrated in the past, if this was your celebration from the past. And sometimes as a project moves forward, or as we get into the more advanced stages of some endeavor or a career or a relationship, things become less cookie cutter and obvious. And in order to keep moving forward, we have to make some really difficult choices. Whereas before it was pretty clear how to get started, now as things develop, we have to answer some really tough questions. So you might be at that stage now where things are maturing and evolving to the point where you're no longer sure how to keep making progress, and you can't just follow the formula anymore. You cannot just follow the tried and true methods that other people do. You're getting far enough in that now you have to make some really specific choices and not just do whatever everyone else is doing. It may be that trying to do whatever the norm is or follow the well-established path, that might be what's causing your current lack of progress or your current feeling of stagnation. So there's either a person who you need to pair up with who could help you get out of this rut, or there's a very difficult choice that you are going to need to make that you're right now either avoiding or trying to put off. But the lack of making that choice definitively is what is causing you to slow down and eventually is going to cause you to stop entirely. So you've made a lot of progress so far, or you've watched other people making progress. And despite that, you are slowing down and have been unable to either make as much progress as you made in the past or to replicate the progress or the achievements that you have seen other people make. And that is causing some frustration and probably a lack of motivation, a lack of energy. You're not feeling as inspired or as ready to go because you don't feel like your efforts are really giving you the results that you want. And the cards are pointing you towards a way forward in the future to get past this roadblock. And I think it's likely to either be turning this project into something that involves another person as a co-equal member, not someone to help you out on the side, but somebody else who's going to join in this endeavor with you permanently. Or else you're at a crossroads, or you're coming to a crossroads, and it's going to be difficult to choose which path, either because it's not clear what the best path is, or maybe you kind of know what the best path is, but it's hard to make that choice because it means leaving something else behind, or it means giving up something that you really like and don't want to give up. And so for whatever reason, you're hesitant to make this choice. It's either hard to make, hard to determine the right choice, or it's hard to commit to whatever you know is the right choice. And it could be a little bit of both. There might be a person that you have to choose to join you. It's not necessarily either the person or the choice, but it probably involves one or the other. And until you team up with that person or make that difficult choice, you're going to continue to slow down and continue to have the current troubles that you're having. But look to this past moment of happiness, even if it was bittersweet, even if it contained some other notes of frustration along with the celebration and the happiness. There are some clues from this past moment of happiness as to how to proceed, because you've got a game plan. You've seen other people accomplish this kind of thing, and you have to make your own path. You can't just follow in their footsteps exactly, but you can be inspired what they did and look to what they did for indications as to what works and what doesn't work. And that is going to help you get out of this rut and move past your current block and get towards a future that might be more complicated, but will definitely be more productive and more satisfying ultimately, even though it might require some difficult decisions to get there, or perhaps a moment of vulnerability as you open yourself or this project or this endeavor up to another person and let them in entirely. But that will be necessary in order to get around whatever your current roadblock is. So if you enjoyed this reading, then subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to learn about tarot cards or try some of my online guided readings, then head on over to foolskey.com where you can check that out. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.